Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today. I'm Neetu Chandra Sharma. Metropolis Healthcare is on an acquisition spree. The company has announced its fourth acquisition in 10 months, this time taking over Kolhapur's Ambika Pathology Laboratory. The aim is to strengthen its presence in Western Maharashtra. To understand what's driving this strategy, I have with me on the show the top management of the company. Joining in, Ameera Shah, promoter and executive chairperson of Metropolis Healthcare Limited. Welcome to the show, Ameera. Thank you so much for joining in today. And let me begin by asking you that what is the larger strategic intent behind this accelerated pace of consolidation, and how do you see these acquisitions reshaping your company's position in the Indian diagnostics market in the next 2 to 3 years?
Thanks, Neetu. Thanks for having me here. I think it's been a very interesting 10 months for us. We explained about how by acquiring Core Diagnostics, the country's largest cancer testing platform, really consolidates us into the number one cancer testing lab chain in the country. Plus, along with that, we did Dehradun and Agra, the leading lab chains there. And those partnerships really put us into the ability to really be a B2C player in some parts of North and use that as a base to really expand from. Kolhapur is actually very different from these three because Kolhapur, we are, Maharashtra, we're already the leader across the space and we are present in every single district headquarter and we are, leaders in most of them. Kolhapur was the one place where we felt that we were number two, and Dr. Patil with Ambika Path Lab was number one, and we felt that it's a very good quality lab, very technically sound, very scientific, and by putting the two together, it not only makes you the number one clearly, but gives you a great synergy opportunity as well as you merge the infrastructure together, and you obviously have Dr. Patil who will continue as the chief of lab operating that lab. So we felt like it was a no-brainer to go forward and
So, Ameera, you have spoken about regional clusters in the past as well. So, if you can share with us that how have you leveraged that, acquisitions in the past in North India, and how do you think that Kolhapur deal in particular will help scale up your business in Maharashtra?
So, I mean, look, North India, for example, if you take Uttaranchal, we've now come into, Dehradun and Uttarakhand, and Dehradun is obviously a district headquarter there. It's a major city there, and from there, we use a base to expand all across the region and bring samples from those locations back into Dehradun for testing. And it helps us become the single largest lab chain in Dehradun to start with. The same thing in Agra, where we'll be able to cover that entire part of UP using Agra as a base. So, these things can also be done organically. But when you go organically into these markets, you are able to get the B2B business, when you're working with hospitals and other labs. But it's difficult to build is actually the B2C business, which is actually a higher quality of business where doctors are referring patients to you and you have a consumer brand. That business is actually unique to build. And those are the businesses that we're actually buying. So Kolhapur, Dehradun, Agra, these are all very high quality B2C businesses, which are very profitable. And you're buying these because you believe that you have the ability to accelerate them from a revenue standpoint, but not a profit standpoint because they're already well profitable. While Core Diagnostics was the other way around, where revenue-wise was growing reasonably well, but was not profitable. And we believe we have a turnaround story possible in Core. So very different strategies, but for these two different kinds of acquisitions. But Kolhapur in Maharashtra specifically, like I said, we not only become the single largest lab in Kolhapur, the chain, but it also gives us the ability to create a big regional cluster around Kolhapur, where all the samples from those 3, 4, 5 towns around will now get tested at Kolhapur and can really grow the market there. We have to remember in India that 85 to 90% of the market continues to remain unorganized, and only 15% of the market is really organized. So there is an ample opportunity if you're able to provide the right kind of testing, the right kind of test menu and local strategies. The micro market, hyper localness of your business will actually enable you to grow faster in that cluster. So that's the ambition of the board.
So, should we expect more M&A activity going ahead, and how are you balancing this inorganic growth while strengthening your core business?
So, look, we had indicated that, we are looking at about one or two M&A deals per year. Last year, we did Core. This year, we've already done Agra, Dehradun, and Kolhapur. I would say that while we'll keep building the funnel, I would think it's unlikely that there will be anything more this year. We'll actually digest and grow the acquisitions that we've already done, but we'll continue to build the funnel for next year. And the timing of M&A is very difficult to contemplate because it's very easy to move from one quarter to another just in diligences and other things. So there are no timelines, but hopefully sometime next year. And I think the way we are balancing it, really is about there's a team that focuses on the here and now and the execution and the operations and making sure that we achieve our AOP and all our tactical strategies for the business. And there is a separate team that focuses on M&A under my guidance to sort of really go out there and find the best quality businesses that we can actually acquire and integrate. And that's what we're doing together, all of us as a team.
Ameera, I would also like to understand what are the growth drivers currently, and how is the preventive healthcare and specialty diagnostics is emerging, and how important is it for your business?
See, the growth drivers have always been similar, which have been, or they continue to be similar. One big growth driver, obviously, is that more and more specialized tests to be done by patients. Now, as diseases become more complicated, as our lives and health becomes more complicated, there are enough opportunities where if you provide a variety of tests to doctors, they can use the best test for that particular patient to diagnose them accurately and quickly. And that's the goal, right? To get better sooner than later. So that's certainly one lever which keeps expanding. And while you may find in metros, doctors are reasonably still aware of the new tests that are coming out in the global markets. And as you go to tier 3 and tier 4 towns, there's a great work of education that we do and awareness we build with doctors across the communities, across India, to really put them at the cutting edge of science, right? The second lever, obviously, is that you keep moving and increasing the organized segment in the entire industry. So 25 years ago, when I started building Metropolis, the organized segment was zero. Now we're at about 15%. So how do you keep moving this forward to closer to 30% number over the next many years to come? And how do you still get convincing people to move towards your brand? So that process is another lever that obviously continues. And the third lever is one of which you brought up around wellness and bundling, where when patients walk in for, let's say, 2 or 3 tests when they're unwell, there is an opportunity to offer them the scientifically right package if they want to get it done. That would help them know what's happening inside their body. Now, while I say scientifically right, because I feel like this whole area has become too commercial, where people focus a lot on discounts and all of that, and really we should be doing the tests only that we need. And that our family history indicates. So we have a whole scientific algorithm system that enables patients to know the right test for them at the right time. And we give them the opportunity to bundle more tests in that one prick. Since they're anyway drawing the blood, they can get more tests done. And that's how we are finding the wellness segment is growing. It's wellness and bundled together, and currently stands at about 19% of the overall revenue.
Okay, so there's a lot of competition rising in the diagnostic space. A lot of global players are entering in, pharmaceutical companies entering in. So with the rising competition, how is Metropolis strategizing to stay ahead of the others?
So just to clarify, I mean, I actually think we haven't seen any new competitors since 2022. I think the only one we heard of in the last few months was Amazon, which is what I'm sure you're referring to. Again, I think their model is different because you have to remember they're not offering the diagnostic services directly. It's actually an existing player who's offering it just from their platform for their customers. So it's more of an ancillary value-added service that they're extending to their customers versus actually getting into the industry of diagnostics. So it's more of a marketing, distribution play versus actually getting into the diagnostic space. We haven't actually seen new competition come in since 2022, Neetu, and we did see from 2010 to maybe 17, 18, a lot of private equity funded competitors. We also saw a lot of corporates coming in, and you've actually seen 80% of those now having left the industry. In the last 7, 8 years, especially during COVID, we saw a bunch of new players come in, health tech players, especially some pharma companies, some hospital chains. And what we've actually found is that while people find it easy to enter pathology because the regulatory environment is weak and because it doesn't require much capex to enter, actually scaling the business profitably every player who's entered has had a huge challenge to do, regardless of whether they come from healthcare or not. And I think it's just the proof is in the pudding that in healthcare that every specialty is expertise on its own. And just because you're a radiologist, you can't offer pathology as well, or just because you're a chemist, you can't suddenly come into pathology or a pharma company. Because doctors are looking for the most excellent player who truly has expertise in that segment. They're not looking for somebody who's just doing it, along the way. So I think what we continue to stand for really is that excellence in diagnostics and expertise in every test we provide, with precision being really the focal point. And doctors, we find, still very much appreciate that and recognize that and realize it's not so easy to compete and build that because it requires many facets over many years to be done.
Ameera, you are expanding into tier 2, tier 3 cities. I would like to understand from you that these acquired labs, they have strong local identities. So what kind of challenges do you see, penetrating these tier 2, tier 3 cities, localized labs, and how are you integrating them into the larger Metropolis ecosystem while preserving their regional strengths?
That's a good question. We have great respect for the local and the regional players as pathologists. I mean, our story is the same, right? It was started as a single pathologist-led lab, which we've then now converted into institution. But we know what it means to be a single pathologist-led lab. Life is tough. It's not easy. While you have lots of things to manage on your own, with all the competition that's come in, it's getting only harder. And our theory is that if you are a very scientifically led pathologist who's built their business on the back of very strong science and ethics and good quality and good engagement with the doctors, then you're a good partner for us, because we like those kind of businesses which are very ethically built, with strong consumer brand, but not led by discounts and commerce, but led by science and ethics. So, we're only happy to partner with such pathologists, and actually they continue to work with us for years to come, where they continue to lead these labs at a local level. They continue to bring their expertise to the table. We do a joint branding where we use their regional brand, we use our national brand. We learn from them, they learn from us, and it really becomes a partnership versus becoming a traditional acquisition where you sort of just go and say how you do everything and follow it. That's not really how we operate. Ours is far more democratic-led partnership.
So going forward, I would like to ask you that what are your priorities for sustained growth and profitability in FY26 and beyond? What are you looking at going forward?
Look, I mean, I think we've been in an investment phase the last 4-5 years, and we believe that now we're done with that investment phase from an organic perspective, where we built 90 labs in 4 years. It was a very aggressive plan. And we feel that we've now done with that, and we don't need to continue doing that accelerated pace, which means that now it's actually an opportunity for us to expand the margins and to really continue to grow the business and focus on the business organically rather than more acquisition and project driven. So we'll continue to do some M&A, we'll continue to digest them, get value out of them, get value out of all the investments we've done in the last 4 years. And we feel very positive and very strong about the next few years, where we believe that it can be a really good and positive time for the business.
Thank you so much, Ameera, for those valuable insights. That was Ameera Shah talking about the outlook and looking forward for Metropolis. While we follow what's next with Metropolis Healthcare, you stay tuned to Business Today for more updates.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.